Do the
Here is
slow
our year
motion one.
13 class, and they have been studying Russian now for 2 years at ASND 2. And I've got a question about the differences between GCSE and A-level Russian.
Well, at GCSE, you study just like kind of basic topics. I mean, you guys will know, but you don't really go into much detail on them either. But at A-level, you kind of explore, you do a film and a book, and you go into much more detail on the topics you do, and they're a bit more complex. They're not just like my house and my town, my family.
Thank you. So my next question was...
Yeah, so also you learn a lot about the history and the politics of Russia, especially in year 13. So it's really good if you're taking history A-level or you did history GCSE, because it really like expands your knowledge. However, if you're like me and I don't take history, it's just really interesting. So, yeah.
Thank you. So, and then I asked about...
I just wanted to say maybe as well, there's an opportunity in year 12 going into year 13 to start your IRP, and that you can choose on a subject that you're really interested in, and it can be literally anything to do in a Russian context. So I'm doing mine on like Russia's interference in Ukraine. I know other people are doing it about Russian books, about like the history of Russia. So it can be literally anything that's so interesting, and especially everyone does have their own personal interests. Like while studying Russian, that's a really good opportunity to expand on that.
Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts back into the last 2 years, more or less, or year and a half of studying Russian?
Well, I think that from GCSE to AS, there wasn't much of a jump because we're doing similar topics, but it was a little bit more in depth. But A2 is a little bit harder because we're learning about political and economic changes in Russia, which can be a bit difficult if you don't study history A-level or if you didn't do GCSE history. But it's really interesting.
And I know that a couple of you are going to continue with studying Russian or languages in the future. Joseph, you are going to do Russian at university.
Yeah, I plan to go to St. Andrews. Yeah.
What aspects of Russian do you think you're going to study?
Well, at university you can study a bit, with the St. Andrews course is very flexible, so you can kind of just pick what you're interested in. So there'll be some study of literature, culture, history, but also it's a 4-year course and 3rd year's abroad. So
you're going to go to Russia for a year abroad?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. Alex, you're going to do the Russian and history at Cambridge?
Yeah, and I think it was A-level Russian is a really interesting basis to learn about the culture and history. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to furthering that.
Well, the common question everybody, maybe you remember yourself asking at GCSE was, what would I do with Russian if I go and do it at university? What are your thoughts now?
I think it's a really flexible A-level to have. Even if you don't study it at uni, you can always take modules in it. So I'm planning to do economics and geography, and there are some language modules which will obviously boost up my credits, which will make, yeah, it's really good, and it's good to keep it up, especially for like future jobs.
I think maybe as well, especially people maybe who do like more scientific subjects, I think maybe having a language as well is a good balance, because it's quite different to other subjects. It's also quite fun in a sense. So it's really good to have that sort of balance and that sort of like release. Not saying that it's easy or anything like that, but it's definitely like really interesting, and it doesn't feel like you're working hard even if you are, because it's just so interesting.
It can also be quite like now, after as doing A-level, I feel like I've started to find certain topics which I really like myself, like doing research outside of lessons, and that's something that you realise you can do more of as you make the jump up to A-level. You start to find things that might not get taught inside the curriculum, but you can just research outside in your own time that you might find really interesting yourself.
Okay. Anything else, anyone? Any wishes for year 11th or advice?
I think Russian's like a really, really good A-level to have. It's really interesting. I think it's one of yeah, it's like my favourite one out of them. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to take like history and like sciences and like sort of English and stuff, because you've got that all in one subject, I think.
Окей, большое спасибо всем. Спасибо.
До свидания.